Thank you all for joining us this Friday morning. I am State Representative Randy Freeze. I represent the 94th District, which includes Quincy, where Illinois' largest and longest serving veterans home is located. 4 years ago, in 2018, in a debate, then candidate Pritzker made this quote regarding the Legionella outbreak at the Quincy home. Quote, "It is a shameful neglect of our veterans who we should be standing up for every single day," end quote. He promised that he would do the best job protecting our veterans. Did he fulfill that promise to Illinois veterans and their families? This audit says no, he did not. This was fatal mismanagement on his part. On November 1st of 2020, the first cases of COVID-19 were confirmed at the LaSalle Veterans Home. By November 4th, 46 residents and 11 staff at the home tested positive for COVID. But on Governor Pritzker's watch, no one from the Department of Public Health even made a site visit to the facility until November 11th. As a result, 36 heroes died. This new review by the State Auditor General puts the blame squarely on Governor Pritzker's Department of Public Health for failing to identify and respond to the seriousness of the outbreak. From the very beginning, my Republican colleagues and I set out to find answers to what went wrong at the LaSalle Veterans Home. We held hearings, we sent letters, and we demanded this audit. Its findings tell us what we feared to be true from the beginning. A political appointee that was not up to the job failed our veterans. And in the days and weeks following the deadly outbreak at the LaSalle home, we saw the governor stand behind his politically appointed director. The governor did not lead, he obfuscated. The governor did not direct IDPH to become more involved. The governor even went so far yesterday as to blame Republicans for the outbreak. This deadly outbreak did not have to happen. The warnings were issued, recommendations were made, but not followed. This whole tragic event is on Governor Pritzker and his administration. Our veterans and their families are owed an apology and action that ensures that this will never happen again. Thank you, and at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Representative Dan Swanson for further remarks.
Thank you, Representative Freeze. Good morning. I'm Representative Dan Swanson of the 74th District, which includes all or part of Mercer, Henry, Knox, Bureau, and Lee counties. I'm a retired Lieutenant Colonel and served with the Illinois Army National Guard and the United States Army for over 27 years, to include a tour in Iraq where I earned a Bronze Star and a Combat Action Badge. I currently serve as a Republican spokesperson for the Veterans Committee. We count on our military personnel to defend our nation and protect us while they are in uniform serving the United States of America. And they deserve nothing less than our undying gratitude and thanks when they come home. That thanks, at the very minimum, requires us to provide services for their injuries. That included, at the very least, following agency-prescribed protocols for monitoring, isolation, testing, and timely treatment to defend against fast-spreading disease, illness, and death. The Auditor's General Report determined that the Illinois Department of Public Health did not identify and respond to the seriousness of the outbreak in the nearly enough time with nearly enough expertise to take actual steps to stem the tide of the outbreak. As a result, we lost 36 heroes, or 30% of the total resident population, and 36 families lost their loved one that was living in our care. They trusted Governor Pritzker and his administration to care for their veteran, care for their loved one, and they were let down in the most devastating way. This is unacceptable. The lack of care for those service members who served in combat on foreign soils or put their lives on the line during active duty, only to lose their lives because of failed leadership. Governor Pritzker stood by the former director for as long as he could, while it was clear proper action was not taken to save lives and stop the spread of COVID-19 at LaSalle. The IDVA Chief of Staff sent up many Red Star clusters seeking guidance, but was ignored. On January 18, 2019, Governor Pritzker issued Executive Order 2019-04, strengthening our commitment to Illinois veterans and their families, promising to protect our veterans, but between November 7, 2020 and January 1st, 2021, nearly 2 years later, 36 heroes died at the LaSalle Veterans Home. I would like to highlight a couple paragraphs from Executive Order 2019-04, strengthening our commitment to Illinois veterans and their families. Paragraph 4 says, whereas the state must ensure that all Illinois veterans homes provide a safe, healthy environment where veterans and their spouses receive all necessary care. And whereas residents and their family members must be assured that the veterans homes have in place and are carefully following policies, protocols, and procedures that have been reviewed by healthcare experts and are designed to protect the health and safety of all residents. Governor Pritzker, Illinois residents, businesses, and schools were threatened if they did not comply with your executive orders. We lived by your executive orders, but you did not live or comply with your own executive order to protect our heroes and their families. The audit makes it clear that Governor Pritzker and his administration failed our veterans and their families. We demanded that the governor take full responsibility and apologize. It is the very least he could do. But yesterday when asked, he lashed out at Republican legislators. Shifting the blame won't work on this issue, Governor. Step up and take responsibility for the actions of your administration that caused these outbreaks and heartbreaking deaths of 36 heroes at the LaSalle Veterans Home. Thank you. I'll now turn it over to State Representative Mark Lutt.
Good morning. My name is Representative Mark Lutt. Today I serve as the state representative for the 91st District and was a proud member of the Army Reserves. In my family, military service was a proud tradition. My grandfather and many other relatives set an example for me with their own service in the military. When I think about the heroes living in our state's veterans homes, I can't help but think of my own family and the kind of care I would want to see them get in their final years. I think about how angry I'd be if the governor promised to take care of them, only to see his administration fatally mismanage a predictable outbreak during a known pandemic. To the family of those who have lost their lives, I'm sincerely sorry you've had to go through this. The people who died at the LaSalle Veterans Home bravely sacrificed in service of our nation. We will never be able to fully repay them for what they have done, but it is our duty to try to ensure that in their final years, they are cared for. The governor can try to spin this any way he wants, but ultimately he owns this failure. Thank you to everyone who has served in the U.S. Armed Forces. We salute you and honor you. And now I would like to turn it over to State Representative David Welter.
Thank you, Representative Lutt. My name is David Welter. I represent the 75th District in the Illinois House, and I am the Republican Conference Chairperson. My district does include part of LaSalle County, not actually where the LaSalle home is. However, throughout the entire outbreak at the home, I do know families there. I actually work with somebody outside the General Assembly who her father is in the home. So as this was transpiring, I was getting updates daily from the family of their concerns of what was going on at that home. Myself, Senator Resin, many of us here on this press conference were voicing our concerns at that time to the Pritzker Administration, IDPH, IDVA, anybody that was willing to hear us. We were sounding the alarm about what was going on over at the LaSalle home. 36 veterans lost their lives. Heroes. They're not just a number. They're somebody's father, somebody's grandfather. And those infected could be their grandmother, their mother, their aunt. These are real people. And we've seen them come out in the last several days and even months, demanding answers, wanting some type of closure, wanting the truth of what really happened at the LaSalle home. Now, the Auditor General's report came out yesterday, which brings us here today. There were several findings in this audit that were very concerning to anybody who read it, and I just want to highlight a few of those points. IDPH at the highest level failed to identify and respond to the seriousness of the outbreak at the LaSalle home. This point directly contradicts the investigation the governor ordered from his inspector general, which brings me to my second point. The governor's administration wrote the scope of the OIG and what they should be looking into. They so narrowly focused that investigation, and we have called them out in previous committee hearings prior to this audit coming out, that why was IDPH exempted? Why was the governor's administration exempted from any scrutiny in this matter and this outbreak? Well, what we found out in committee hearings, but we now know are false due to the audit that was done, is that the governor's administration knew from day one, as these outbreaks were taking place, they were copied on email correspondence, and there's documentation to back that up, that they knew each day as they were reporting to the governor's office, to IDPH, to IDVA, what was transpiring. And one day went by, 2 days, 3 days, continued, and still there was no action from this administration. I think it is disingenuous, and I think we all now know the scapegoat that was made, scapegoat that was made was the IDVA chief of staff, the House administrator, were folks that during this process were sounding the alarms, looking for help, and actually reporting accurate information to the Pritzker administration every day. Now, no doubt, Chapellavia, who we talked about earlier, this political appointee, what you'll find in this audit is she was aloof. She was not around. She was not engaged. She was not involved. She needed to go. But what we're finding out now with this audit is that there are people in this administration that have not been held accountable. And the governor has made a villain or people who were trying to do their jobs and were actually reporting to his administration take the fall for this. And that is not fair. That is not right. Had I not filed this resolution and these members on this committee not pushed so vehemently to ensure that there was an independent investigation, the Pritzker administration would have just swept under the rug this cover-up. And that's what they were hoping and intending would happen. Luckily, we have this independent investigation and this audit now in our hands to understand a better idea of what transpired in those days as we lost our heroes at that home. And it's important that we take a look at what happened and that we have hearings. But there were several similarities with that Quincy home audit. And I know there were some improvements that were made prior to this outbreak. But if at Quincy 3 days was too long for IDPH to get on site, what is nearly 2 weeks? So this is fatal mismanagement by the Pritzker administration, and there needs to be more accountability because there has not been. In fact, these veterans and their families have been lied to by his administration in front of our committees, and we need to make sure that we get those individuals back. I want to know why the Deputy Governor South Flores came before one of our oversight committees and lied and said that IDVA was not communicating to the administration about the seriousness and what was transpiring. We know that is factually incorrect. she must be held accountable. And there are others in that administration that were getting these reports every day and failed to take action.